Hello again. Camo, Crusader for Christ. This is day 21 and living this year without fear. You know, this is the end of 3 weeks together, day 21, on how to push those unwanted things away from your mind and to be happy in your walk with God. Now, usually on the seventh day, we've kind of done like the Sabbath on it and took a moment to reflect over the past week, to look at what God has been doing in our life and what we've kind of learned from these videos and from His Word, what He may be trying to tell us. And I hope that it's all been good. I hope this past week has found you being blessed by God and what He's done in your life. But if it hasn't been, maybe there's something that He wants us to hear, something to change. Maybe we can talk about some things like that this next coming week. We started out this week with Elijah, 1 Kings 1, and he brought fire down on some soldiers, and I guess we can rest assured that they weren't having a good day. And his message for the king was really what was important. It was that he was seeking answers from his problems from a false god. Elijah posed a question: is there no God in Israel, that you have to look elsewhere to find answers? Man, that's a challenge to you and I. Don't look in the wrong places for answers to our questions and to our problems and our concerns, but we need to take them to the only true and living God and allow Him to work in our life. Then we spent some time in Exodus. We spent about 3 days with Joseph and Moses. We saw that a new Pharaoh arrived that didn't know Joseph, and how that Israel was being blessed by God, and Egypt became fearful. You know, they were growing into a big nation. He's afraid they were going to be powerful. They were jealous of what was going on, and it caused them fear, and they created turmoil for them, and they started wanting to murder some of the young babies. You know, that often happens in our life. If God is working there, if He is blessing you, if He is showing you favor and you are being promoted, or you are growing in a certain way, there's going to be others who look back on that don't know God, and they're going to think, I'm jealous. I need to find a way to reverse this situation. You know, there's a lot of people out there that think that they can look taller when they can cut you off at the knees and drop you down, and that'll make them look bigger. I've seen that many times in my career. It's a hard thing to fight through, but in reality we must. We've got to move on. We've got to let God handle those people and those situations and not allow ourselves to be the ones to retaliate. Moses was a good example of that. For his parents saw that he was a goodly child, it said, that he was wonderful, and they decided not to allow him to be murdered with all the rest of the babies, but they hid him. And then when they could no longer hide him, they put him in a basket and set him out into the reeds, and there he was found by Pharaoh, and she took him in as her own son. But he realized his heritage, and he saw his people out there as they were working and laboring, and he went out to walk among them, and he saw somebody who was beating an Egyptian taskmaster that was beating one of his fellow Israelites, the Hebrew, and he went and he actually killed him. He retaliated. He allowed the actions of somebody to move him to do something that he shouldn't have done in retaliation. Not only that, when he went back the next day, he thought he had got away with it, but there was some other men fighting, and this time it was 2 of his own Hebrews, and he tried to separate them. And they looked at him and they said, "Hey, who made you the judge over us? Are you going to kill us like you did the Egyptian yesterday?" Well, that worked some fear into his life. He decided to run, and Pharaoh was seeking to kill him. There we learned that we need to be a little patient. God did have a plan for Moses, but Moses wasn't ready yet. The children of Israel were not ready for Moses either. These guys didn't want to follow him. They weren't going to accept him as their leader. He had no reputation for that. So we learned that not only shouldn't we retaliate, but that we also have to have patience. Allow God to prepare the way, prepare our heart, to prepare the hearts of those that we will be either working with or trying to lead. And this was a great thing. He had to spend 40 years on the run out in the desert of Midian doing a shepherd's task with sheep and goats and being out there pulling them out of sticker bushes, basically, for 40 years, learning and waiting for God to prepare the way for him to come back. Patience will lead to victory. And then the last couple of days, we talked about a movie, The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry. And it was a great movie to watch. It's got a lot of good messages in it. It will give you a sense of direction on how to find ways to help those around you to live the way God would like us to live, and also how to help people. Found it to be a very good one. Part of that dealt with prayer. Taking everything to God in prayer, allowing Him to be our source of guidance, our source of direction in our life. Be careful who and what else we involve in our decision making during this life. So let's close out today with Philippians 4:4. That's a good verse because it tells us in everything. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again I say, rejoice. I hope that this has been a great week for you. I hope that you've won victories, you've learned patience, that things has went well. If not, then I pray that you will go take that to God in prayer, that you will cast all your cares upon Him because He cares for you, and that you will allow Him to work it together for your good in some way. And we will talk next week about some tough times and how we can allow God to work that together for our good. Hey, rejoice in the Lord always. This is the Camo Crusader for Christ saying, God bless.